Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Victory Drive. This week, we got another Second Amendment-focused episode for you. We're going to be talking all about Virginia gun laws. And honestly, lately, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the Second Amendment realm of things. There's been a lot of talk with other states, too, like Virginia being one, and Illinois. They're just constantly trying to get new shit passed that makes no sense. But this week we're going to stick to Virginia because that is hot off the press. A lot of stuff's been happening there. It's one of those things we come to expect it from states like Illinois or California and New York. Granted, they're unconstitutional laws as well over there, and it's not that they don't matter as much, but it's just we come to expect it because that's just kind of what they do. And it still needs to be challenged in court. And to me personally, it's not even me personally. It's just the way it is. The Second Amendment was written to be the law of the land. That governs the entire country. So I am all for states' rights and states doing what they feel like is necessary for their constituents. But the law of the land is the supreme law of the land is the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And if your state is going against that, then you're going against the fabric of America. And that is what that's the supreme law of the land. There's no getting around it. There's certain things that are states' rights issues. I'm very strongly for that. If it's not covered under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, then it does go to the states, and that's meant for us, we the people, to have more power, essentially, in what happens in our lives, especially our close lives, like in the states that we live in and everything else. We should have more control over certain laws that we want to see. And the federal government, they do a lot of overstepping as well, as far as Roe v. Wade goes and stuff like that. There's an argument for that to be states' rights solutions to the whole abortion thing. But when it comes to the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, states aren't supposed to be able to just pick around and pick what they want to abide by, and what they do and do not abide by. It's written explicitly, black and white, shall not be infringed. I talked all about the true intent of the Second Amendment the last time we did one of these, and I still feel strongly about that. This Second Amendment it's there for a reason, and it's not to be fucked with, essentially. So Virginia, they're trying to do their own thing here and get it passed through. Not just one gun law, but a whole shitload of them. And it's very weird. It's like Virginia, one of the original 13 colonies, home of George Washington. It sucks to see. I know New York is too, and other there's other shitty states up in the Northeast where America was born, that they're totally going away from what America was created for, essentially, and what the fabric of being an American is all about. But Virginia seems kind of special because it's been, pretty blue, or purple, kind of trending blue. But there has been a lot of polls lately, as far as gun control goes. And it is fairly overwhelmingly supported in Virginia, which is very unfortunate. There's a lot of people there. As far as the polls go, whether you believe those or not, there's a lot of polls that are very for gun control. Specifically, red flag laws. There's been some Republicans, even like Dan Crenshaw. He was a supporter of red flag laws, even though he was a veteran and Republican. But then again, he's gone now. He got primaried out. He's no longer going to be in power, which is a good thing because he turned out to be a very big disappointment. Old Crenshaw, the James Bond villain in Congress. He ended up being really shitty, so we need to get him out of there anyways. But he's going to be replaced by someone hopefully better, but we'll see. But Virginia, like a lot of the people, it is fairly like well, like I guess represented. Like there's been like I think it's like 90-something% of people want some form of gun control to be enacted, and I really don't know why that is. So in the previous administration, it was, I think the House and Senate in Virginia was controlled by Democrats, but they had a governor, Republican governor Glenn Youngkin, that just refused. He just vetoed all the gun control legislation that came across his desk. And now it's not that he got beaten, he couldn't run. So Virginia has term limits to their governorship. So this lady, Abigail Spanberger, and we'll get to her in a little bit, but she ended up winning, and now it's just, across the board, the Democrat trifecta in Virginia. So now all those Democrats that wanted to push gun control before finally have their governor that has been pretty outspokenly for gun control, at least in some form. They finally have her sitting at the helm of the governor's table, and this is their chance to get as much shit as they can passed and really just ruin the lives of a lot of Virginians. And it's very unfortunate because there's there's a lot of people that did support some form of more gun control. I don't know, the assault weapons ban stuff was like pretty low, like as far as the other stuff goes. Like it was like 90-something% were for red flag laws and other stuff, but the assault weapons ban was like 63%, I think, the last poll I saw. So it wasn't as popular, but it's still like over half the people were like, yeah, let's get rid of these scary guns. And this is their chance to do it. So we're going to be talking all about that stuff coming here pretty soon. And I guess why? I don't know. The only thing I can really think of is why there's that much support for gun control in Virginia is because it's kind of the home of all the three-letter agencies. I think the CIA is headquartered in Virginia, and Washington, D.C. is not too far away. I think a lot of people that work in Washington, D.C. actually live in Virginia, so that might be kind of why. There's just a lot of government workers that live in Virginia. So that, to me, that kind of makes sense, I guess, why it'd be so well supported in a state like Virginia, because we have a bunch of fucking federal workers that are brainwashed by the elites, and they're just been in D.C. for too long, and they want power. They want to keep gobbling up as much power as they possibly can, and they just do. People that are power hungry, they do not like seeing an armed populace. They do not like seeing armed civilians out there that are able to defend themselves if shit goes a little sideways. That's a pretty known fact that they just don't like to see that kind of stuff. So that's the only reason I can really think of with Virginia, but I don't live there, and I don't really know. It'd be interesting to hear from some of you guys out there that are listening to the show that live in Virginia, what you think, and you can always, leave that when I post the episode on socials, like we'll talk about it in the comment section if you want, and see what the theories are why Virginians are kind of for gun control. But a lot of the stuff that they're trying to pass through in Virginia doesn't just affect Virginia, it affects the country as a whole. And we'll get into all that here really soon. But before we get into all that, it would be remiss of me to not mention Grizzly Coolers. Grizzly Coolers, they have been a huge supporter of Victory Drive ever since the very beginning. And it really helps that they make really great stuff. So if you guys are in the market for a new cooler, drinkware, or a hunting blind, check out grizzlycoolers.com. Use code WCB at checkout to save some money and help support the show and honestly the whole network, the whole WCB network. Show some love by supporting those who support us. And if you want to help out just the show personally, I would love to keep this show as supported by the people, for the people, if you will. The listeners of the show, if you guys want to hop on Patreon and search up Victory Drive Podcast, that's where I'm at, and you can help the show by, a very, very well I guess, a nice endowment, if you will. I have a couple different tiers. There's the single shot tier, which is like $2.24, then a $9.95 backbone tier, which we are going to be sending out free t-shirts to backbone members in Patreon. Patreon exclusive t-shirts to you guys, just to show our appreciation for those that support the show. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get right into it. I would like to start this off by just going over who Abigail Spanberger is, the governor of Virginia, and kind of a quick background on her. She was born and raised in Virginia, and she went to college at the University of Virginia, and she got an MBA in some European college, I guess. But the odd thing about her is that after college, she started to teach English literature at the Islamic Saudi Academy. That seems really weird to me. I don't know. Someone that I think there's a quote of her from someone, or a story of hers, that saying that when she was a kid, she wrote in her diary in code because she always wanted to be a spy. But then she goes to college and becomes an English literature teacher at the Islamic Saudi Academy. And I think she was just doing that while her background check went through in the CIA, because shortly after doing that, a few years down the road, she ended up getting picked up and joined the CIA in the early 2000s. And she started off as an operations officer, or like a case officer. And that really stood out to me, because whenever someone joins the CIA and then decides to make a political career after that, I just immediately go into tinfoil hat, put on the hat, and get along in there, because it just seems it's one of those 3-letter agencies, especially the most secretive one. She wanted to be a spy her whole life, like ever since she was just a wee little girl. She wanted to be a spy. Then she had her chance and she became a spy in the CIA. And then once she got done doing that, and granted, like while she's in the CIA, she was focused on like counterterrorism and nuclear proliferation, and she worked overseas for quite a while, recruiting different assets and gathering intelligence on terroristic threats. So she was like a spy, a case officer. I can't even think of any shows right now that have, but there's CIA shows out there about spooks and being case officers, and kind of keeping their assets and recruiting assets and getting information and being a spy for the American government. And we need those people. We really do. I do truly believe that we need to keep ourselves safe in this country, and keep an eye on our enemies overseas, and and try to fuck, I bumped my mic. But try to keep tabs on the people that want to hurt us over here. And I get that, that's cool, whatever. But whenever they decide to go from the CIA to starting a political career, that just flips up some red flags for me. I don't know if it does for you guys, but it does for me. And so after her career in the CIA, she decides to get in politics, and she ends up flipping a Republican-held seat and was elected into Congress in 2018. So in 2018, she was elected in Congress, flipping a Republican seat and aiding in turning Virginia blue, I guess. Is already kind of trending that way, I guess. But, she gets up there and she kind of makes herself known as a moderate Democrat, which she, some of the stuff that she said, she is a seemingly moderate Democrat. She's not dunked on, but she's said some stuff about like the far left, like the radical leftists. Like she's spoken out against them, saying like your messaging about police is incorrect. Your messaging on a lot of this stuff is incorrect. And socialism, we shouldn't be running campaigns on socialism. And she's spoken out against the far left Democrat. I guess you'd probably say base at this point. It seems like the Democrat Party their base is kind of far left people. And she's spoken out against them. And being in Virginia, I guess she kind of has to be at least seemingly moderate. And she did a good job of that. So she ended up flipping a Republican seat and getting into Congress. And she was there and served 3 terms and did whatever she did there. And after those 3 terms in Congress, she decided that she wanted to be the head of Virginia. And she ended up getting elected governor of Virginia in 2025. So in 2025, like not that long ago, she got elected to be governor, and almost immediately, it seems like we were talking about gun control in Virginia. They didn't even need, a mass shooting to try pushing this stuff through. They're just like, hey, we got a Democrat in office now, a Democrat governor. We're going to go ahead and shove this shit through because we have the power now and we can do it. And when we have the power, we want to yield it. And that is one thing that I'll say about the Democrats that they're not afraid to do. Once they have power, they are not afraid to wield that power as swiftly as they possibly can. Republicans seem like they generally, there's a lot more lame duck Republican governors out there, and they don't really want to do a whole lot. And I'm really pushing for Republicans to be, when you have power, wield it, because that's what the other side does. You should wield it, but Republicans don't. And that's one thing I have against them. Is like they are scared. They want to get reelected or whatever it is. But Democrats aren't fucking scared. And that's one thing with Virginia, having the term limit that they do as governor. Abigail Spanberger, she sure as shit ain't scared either. She's gonna be like, hell yeah, let's go. We got the power. Let's push this shit through while we have it. Before anything flips and changes in midterms or whatever it is. So they're not afraid to. Almost immediately, they decided to start talking about gun control. And they pushed through a lot of stuff. They quickly put together a list of bills. I think it's like 20 plus bills on gun control that they put together and passed through the House and then passed through the Senate. And now it's sitting on Spanberger's desk right now. And I think it's going to sit there until about April something. I think that's when she's going to decide to either sign it into law or veto portions or change or whatever it is. Whatever changes happen, she decides to sign or veto. And it's looking like she's going to sign it. It seems like she has the support of not only the people of Virginia, but obviously the politicians in Virginia as well. The only person I really see, there's some people in Virginia as Virginia delegates that are talking out about it. There's only so much they can do. They're outnumbered. So Nick Freitas has been talking about it a lot on Instagram and stuff. He has a pretty big Instagram following. He's been talking about it quite a bit. But unfortunately, he got beat by Abigail Spanberger as well in the race. So, it's like we had a good one going, and then Virginia decided to go with Abigail. Go with old Spanberger, the old CIA operative. Vote her into office because she'll do what's right. But it's looking like it's going to pass. So, unfortunate for everyone living in Virginia, but that's a quick little outline on Abigail Spanberger and who she actually is and why this stuff is going. So going from there, let's go ahead and get right into exactly what they're trying to pass. I'm not going to go through every single thing that they're trying to pass, but we'll get a good overview on all of this and just some quick thoughts and leave it to you guys to decide what is right and wrong.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from okay to very high. Know your sleep score with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required. All
right, I'm going to start out kind of tame here. We'll start with they did one of the bills they're trying to push through is an expansion on domestic violence restrictions. Honestly, I don't really have a huge issue with that personally, because no one really wants someone that's actually going to be like threatening and dangerous and has a history of beating their wife or beating their girlfriend. I think as it states right now is that domestic violence restrictions cover marriages, but there's what they call the boyfriend loophole, and they're trying to close that up. So if you are, and honestly, in today's day and age, people aren't getting married as quickly as they have in years past. There's a lot of people that just want to be dating for years and years and years before they decide to commit to a marriage. And that's a whole societal shift that has happened. And you have your own opinions on that. There's not as many people taking their vows as seriously or dating or marriage as seriously as they once were back in the day, like not even that long ago. So they're trying to close up the boyfriend loophole. If you're beating your wife or beating your girlfriend, specifically your girlfriend, if you're out there and you are living with a young lady and you decide you want to beat the shit out of her because she didn't fold your clothes right, then they're saying like, hey, domestic violence, can't be having that. No more guns for you, sir or lady. It's a lot rarer for women to beat on men. It's even more rare for them to get charged with domestic violence if they are beating on the man. Just kind of the way it is. Women are generally weaker than men, so they don't inflict as much damage. But a man hits a girl, and there's going to be damage. There's going to be it's going to be visible. So, when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's like you're dangerous, then you get your firearms taken away, and that's just that's the way it's been for a long time. And I don't see a whole lot of contention with that online, honestly. But the one thing I do have an issue with is, what does this look like for due process? Do they follow the same due process as married couples, where you have to go, you have to get charged and convicted of this crime in order for it to be labeled domestic violence, and then be severe enough for you to get your weapons taken away from you? So that's one thing they're trying to do. They're also trying to pass safe storage laws. So safe storage laws, they're trying to pass that. But the one thing about that is they're trying to make it so if there's minors or prohibited persons within the domicile or vehicle or whatever it is, then you have to have that shit locked up. Got to get it locked up. And if you don't have it locked up, then there's going to be criminal charges that come along with it. But specifically, what's weird about this is that your locked car does not count as being locked. So you need, if you are carrying your gun, let's say this scenario happens here, where you're in your car, you decide that you're out in town, you're in Virginia, you're out in town, you decide you need to go to the courthouse and update your driver's license. And you're like, oh shit, I can't carry my Glock, my Smith & Wesson, I can't carry my gun inside the damn courthouse. So what do? Oh yeah, I'll throw that shit in the glove box, lock it up, and lock my car, go into the damn courthouse, do what I need to do, come back. And if you're walking out of your car, or walking back out to your car, and you realize your car got ransacked by some hooligans, some thugs, decided to ransack your fucking car, and they took your gun. And then you go, you do your due diligence. You're like, shit, I better report this to the police. I just got my car ransacked. I want them to figure out who it was. Give them the information. So you tell them, yeah, they stole my CD player. They even steal CD players anymore. I think it's all Bluetooth. But let's say they did. They stole my stereo system. They stole my clothes and my shoes. And then they also stole my Glock out of my glove compartment, out of my locked car. They broke the window and stole all that shit. Then the cop looks at you and is like, ooh, that sucks, buddy. I'm sorry that you got stolen from, but here's a hefty charge and a criminal charge at that for not having your stuff locked up, not having they're going to be like, was it in a lockbox? You're going to say, no, it's in my glove box. And they're like, all right, well, you're going to jail, sir. Sorry about your stuff, but you're going to jail too. You didn't have it locked in a lockbox. That's against the law, sir. Not only are you a victim, but you're also a criminal now. So have fun being a felon for the rest of your life. Life ruined. Not cool. But that's one thing, like the safe storage laws, like I think as responsible gun owners, that is part of it. Like we want to make sure that our guns are being handled and taken care of properly. Make sure they're all cleaned up and locked away and everything else. But, some people don't like to have big ass safes. Some people have gun rooms. Like that's a popular thing to do, is have a whole room full of your guns hung up on the wall. And I don't know what that exactly looks like. They say it needs to be locked up. So if you lock your door to that room, if that's considered locked appropriately or not. But they want to make sure that prohibited people and everything in your house is locked up too. So let's say that happens. Let's say you're in your house and you go away on vacation, you come back and your house gets ransacked and all your guns are gone. You report that shit to the police. Like, sorry about all your stuff being stolen from your house, but now you're going to jail too. Now you're going to jail. Sorry about your stuff, but now you're a criminal. So it just seems like it's one more thing that's really a non-issue. But they're trying to pass it through because I think they just want to keep making more criminals. They want to take more guns. And they're like, how can we take more guns? Make more criminals. Make more criminals so we can take more guns. So that's one thing they're also passing through. They're also passing through age restriction. We've seen this before. Age restriction from 18 to 21. No more long guns for 18-year-olds. You can go fight and die for Israel in Iran, but you can't fucking come back home and buy an AR-15 and go to the range and have some fun. And you also can't use that to defend your household because let's say you do go to Iran and fight for, fight in a war, or maybe go to Syria or Iraq or wherever the hell else we have troops at overseas. You come back home and you're like, man, I just really want to buy a gun to stay proficient with a weapon that's similar to what I have to carry when I'm overseas. You can't do it. You can't buy one. You're only 19. You're 20 years old. Like for me, for instance, when I went to Afghanistan, I was 19 years old. When I came back from Afghanistan, I was 20 years old. And I couldn't drink a beer, but I could at least smoke cigarettes or chew tobacco and buy an AR-15 and have some fun. Blow off some steam at the range after being in Afghanistan for a year. Can't do that anymore. You can go overseas and carry an AR-15 or an M4 or what do they have now, a SIG Spear or grenade launchers, rocket launchers. That can be trusted with millions of dollars worth of military equipment and very, very heavy weaponry, rocket launchers, fucking tanks, all that stuff. But I can't even buy a rifle that resembles or is similar in function to the one that I carried overseas. That seems fucking crazy to me. And that's also another topic of like, what are we even considering adults in America anymore? Because when I was growing up, once you're 18, you leave the house, you start, college or your military career, you're considered an adult. You just can't drink, but you can do pretty much everything else. You can get out credit cards, you can get loans, you can do a lot of other things, but you can't. In Virginia, you can't buy a long gun. But you can be trusted to do all this other stuff, but you can't buy a long gun. Not in Virginia. So that's the other thing. As a society, I feel like we're like getting babied more and more, whether it's by the state or by your fucking parents or whoever it is. There's a lot of babying going on out there, and that just blows my mind. We're going backwards. We're not adults until 21 now. Like, what the fuck? That's crazy. Back in the day, you'd be dead at 42, so that's half your life. Maybe that's why the adult age was 18 for so long. But now everyone's living to be 90 or 100, so maybe that's why. I don't know. We're all living longer. But basically, to help stop mass shooting, they decided that if you're 21, you're not going to be a psycho anymore. But at 19 or 20, you are still considered a dumbass kid that can't be trusted with guns. So that's Virginia for you. That's what they're trying to pass through as well. Age restrictions. And then also they're doing transfer and purchase restrictions for private sales, transfers between individuals. I got a gun. You want it. I can't just sell it to you. You have to go through a gun shop or an FFL and pay the fee to get it transferred to the next person. This is just another way for them to keep track of who has guns and who doesn't. It's pretty blatantly obvious. And they're trying to close up what they call the gun show loophole or the private sale loophole, where if I decide to sell a gun to you and you want to buy said gun from me, then we got to go hoof it over to a gun shop, and we can't transfer it to our friends or family. If I want to give a gun to my daughter, I can't do that until she's 21, and it has to be the right one. It can't be an AR-15 because they're going to ban those too. We'll get to that in a little bit. But transfers and stuff, we're going to restrict that as well. But then we're going to go into red flag laws. We talked about that a little bit when we touched on Dan Crenshaw. So red flag laws, if you guys aren't familiar, is if you decide, if somebody else decides that you're having a mental episode or you're not mentally fit enough to own a firearm, then they'll just take that shit. They'll just take that right from you. And to me, that kind of flies in the face of due process. So Pam Bondi, she's famous for saying this, like, take the guns first and due process second. That's not how it works in America. That is not how it works. If you haven't done anything wrong, you deserve to have your rights. You deserve to have them. If you're having a bad day at work, you come home, you're like, man, I fucking hate my job. I fucking hate my boss. He fucking sucks. And the wrong person hears that, they're like, man, that sounds kind of dangerous. I don't know if he should have guns anymore. Call it in. Hey, cops, this guy's going fucking nuts over here, talking about how much he hates his boss, and he's getting pretty violent. Let's go ahead and take his guns. And they're like, hell yeah, that sounds good. We're in the gun-taking business, and business is good here in Virginia. So let's go take them. So that's kind of the slippery slope with red flag laws. That, in my personal beef with red flag laws, is what happens to vets? Like veterans that decide to join the military and make something of themselves, and they go fight a war on behalf of supposedly America, or in this day and age, who knows who it's for, you know? So you decide to join the military, and you come back, and you're like, man, taking a little time for me to adjust, and say I saw some shit overseas, and it's really bothering me, and you go to the VA to get some help, to get some mental help, you know? Some mental health help. We all talk about mental health, mental health, like, suicide. We don't want to do that. Don't kill yourself. Yeah, veterans are killing themselves constantly, every day. You know, what is it, 22 a day or something like that still? I don't know. We're dropping like flies out here due to suicide. And the ones that decide to go to the VA and get some help from those people in the state like Virginia, is the VA going to be then weaponized against the veteran that is seeking help? That's my personal beef with red flag laws. It's like, you go to the VA, say I need some help. They say, okay, great. And I actually had this happen to me once. I'll just tell this little story. Went to the VA, having some issues, decided to talk to them, and they're like, oh, are you going to hurt yourself or others? And you're like, no, I'm good. I'm just having need a little help. I'm struggling here. I feel like I'm just kind of, I'm hurting, stuff's not going right in the civilian world maybe, or whatever it may be. I need a little help. I want to talk to somebody that cares. You go talk to the VA. The first fucking thing she asks is, do you have any guns at home? Immediately, I'm like, no, this isn't how this goes. I'm not doing this conversation anymore. Immediately shut down. Because, it's like, the first thing you ask isn't like, oh man, like, how are you? Like, are you okay? Like, let's talk this through. First fucking thing they say is, do you have any guns at home? Like, fuck you, buddy. None of your fucking business what I have at home. You didn't ask me if I have any knives at home or a fucking baseball bat or anything else. Like, fuck you, friend. That's not how you get this going. It's not showing that you care or you give a shit. So to me, it's just one more thing that they can use. You go to a state like Virginia and they have this passed. You're struggling a little bit. The next thing you know, the boys in blue are at your house knocking on your door saying, hey, dude, give me your guns. And you're like, what the fuck? What for? And they're like, well, got a call saying that you're a red flag. You got red flag, buddy. So give me your guns. We'll talk about it later. You can go to court later and petition to get your guns back once you prove that you are mentally fit for them. And how well will that go in a state like Virginia? Especially if they do get assault weapons banned. Now you have an AR-15 at your house and you're grandfathered in, but now you can't get that back because it's in the hands of the court. And like, this thing's not even legal in Virginia. Let's just destroy it or keep it. That seems highly likely in a state like Virginia that has these types of red flag laws. But another big one that they're trying to get passed through is a gun industry liability expansion. So basically what that does is it lets the AG, the Attorney General, private citizens, and anyone else sue gun manufacturers and dealers if they fail to prevent misuse or contribute to a public nuisance. What does that really mean? To me, I'm reading that and it's saying so let's say in Virginia, there's a mass shooting or any type of violent crime that involves a gun. Let's say someone decides to use an AR-15, just because that's what we like to talk about today. Someone decided to use an AR-15 and let's say they shot like 3 or 4 people. They went crazy. They went postal and they fucking shot 4 people, killed 2. And let's say they're using like something popular. Let's say they're using a Colt AR-15. And they're like, now these people are dead and that's really sad. And everything else. It is sad. It is very sad when everyone loses a life. Especially with no reason behind it. It's just someone wants to shoot the shit out of someone for no reason. Besides the fact that they get some sort of joy out of it for some reason. They like to hurt people. Then those families that are hurting, they're like, man, I just lost my brother. I'm really sad. And I'm going to sue Colt because they couldn't prevent misuse of that firearm. That seems like a scenario that is just rife for being taken advantage of. Colt gets sued for, let's say, $3 million gets awarded to that family. Then it happens somewhere else. And $3 million more, $5 million, $8 million, $17 billion. Now Colt isn't a fucking company anymore. And then they move on to the next one. They move on to the next one. They move on to the next one. And all these companies, and all of a sudden people just realize like, hey, man, getting in the gun business is not very smart because it's not smart business-wise, and it's not smart, for personally wise, because what if they hold me personally liable because I made that gun? Now there's no companies making guns. And now they essentially have destroyed the industry that is arming civilians for them to exercise their Second Amendment rights. So that, to me, that's a sneaky one. That's a real sneaky one. That is one that could be nationwide impact, and that's not good. But also ghost gun bans. I talked about this in a previous episode before. Ghost gun bans, they just don't work. They do work. I mean, don't get me wrong. They do actually work. People do get arrested for ghost guns. Like the Dexter Taylor situation in New York. We talked about that. Just some nerdy guy that decided to get into guns. And he wanted to make some guns at home. No criminal history. No priors. Just decided that he wanted to get in the gun making business for himself. He wasn't transferring to anybody. He wasn't selling them. He just wanted them for himself. And the ATF comes and knocking in the middle of the night and bashes his door in and fucking hems him up. 10 felony charges. Or no, I'm sorry. Maybe it wasn't 10 felony charges. However many felony charges it takes to get 10 years in prison. That's what he ended up getting. And, he wasn't a harm. He wasn't hurting anybody. He wasn't doing anything wrong. But what he was doing wrong is he was partaking in an activity that New York decided was too dangerous for a poor nerd in New York. Can't be doing that. So he got 10 years in prison. Also, Lawrence DiStefano. This is a unique one because he is making 80% lowers. He's selling kits. I think his business was called Indie Guns. So he was selling kits all over the country, all over the place, to all sorts of different people. Just a entrepreneur wanted to get some guns into the hands of the people to exercise their Second Amendment rights. And he made the fatal mistake of selling some kits to people in New York. So then Letitia James decides to indict his ass from Florida, get him extradited from Florida to New York, and hemmed him up. Felon, ruined his life. No priors, no criminal history, just a good, seemingly good person in Florida, just trying to have a business, doing something that he loved to do. Now he's a felon, facing time behind bars because he had the gall to sell some kits to people in New York. In Florida, shame on them. Shame on Ron DeSantis for being like, we live in Florida. We're free. We love guns. We love liberty. We love low taxes and all these things, all these great things from Florida. And they hand him over to Letitia James and her cronies because they're cowards and they don't want to put their money where their mouth is. So that's very unfortunate for Florida as well, honestly, because they're just going to kowtow to New York. Fuck that. Fuck you guys. That's crazy. But this ultimately leads into the culminating event, which is the big one. It's the big one that we've all been waiting for. It's the big one the left has been waiting for a long time, an assault weapons ban. Now, this worked federally back in 1994, but they had to put a time limit on it for 10 years. So in 2004, George Bush was president, and he's like, nah, dude, we're not re-signing that bill because we noticed that there was no significant change in violent crime after criminalizing and having this assault weapons ban. There's no change. Not enough change to make a difference nationwide. So they struck it and said, hey, now we can have AR-15s again because it didn't matter. It didn't change anything. So that's why we have AR-15s and quote-unquote assault weapons for sale. And since 2004, the AR-15 has become the most popular gun in the country. But now they're going to try it in Virginia. They think, hey, it didn't work nationwide, but it will work in Virginia. It will work here. So they're going to go ahead and ban the sale, purchase, and import and manufacture of not just AR-15s, but anything they deem an assault weapon. Now, we all know the term assault weapon is a bullshit made-up term, and it's purposely vague to encompass a lot of different firearms. We all know this. They leave it vague for a reason. They leave it vague so they can eventually add to it. When banning AR-15s doesn't work and whatever other weapon they decide to use, maybe it's a Glock 17 or maybe it's a whatever else, they are going to move on from ARs to whatever gun they deem an assault weapon next. I mean, we're seeing it in fucking the UK. They can't have guns worth of shit over there. People are just getting stabbed to death. People are walking around with machetes and fucking swords and slicing each other up. That makes a whole lot of sense. But they're actually even trying to ban certain machetes. I saw a clip that some dumbass British dude was like, it's just, you see this? This is a big machete. That's not how they sound. You know, whatever. Big machete. It says zombie killer on it. This is dangerous as fuck. It just has zombie killer on it. This means it's an assault machete. We should ban them. They're literally looking to try to ban certain types of blades in the UK because they can't seem to get it right. They're like, it's not. It turns out people still want to kill people, even if they don't have guns. So that's what's going to happen next here in America. If we neuter ourselves to match the rest of fucking Europe, that's what we're going to be looking like. We're going to be walking around talking fucking stupid and can't do nothing about it, getting stabbed to death by psychopaths and criminals. Like Irene Zarutska on the train, getting stabbed to death. That sounds a lot better. Especially since I can't defend myself. It's a giant dude. We all know that guns are the equalizer. Women, small men, big men. It's the equalizer. If I come up to you and I'm a 6'3", 280-pound fucking jacked motherfucker on steroids and I decide to make you my bitch, there's not much you can do about it. If you got a knife and I got a knife, there's not much you can do about it. If you got a knife and I don't have a knife, there's still a pretty good chance that you're going to go down, dude. It's just the way it is. But if you got a gun, then there is something you can do about it. Then you can change the course of what's going to happen. Maybe you don't get raped that day. Maybe that happens. Either way, they're trying to take away your ability to not only defend yourself, but your family and the country. There's a reason why America hasn't gotten invaded before. Yes, we live in a very unique country that's surrounded by this great ocean and everything else. And we have a strong military and all that. But one other big reason why we haven't been invaded or been attacked en masse, and another reason why our country has lasted as long as it has lasted, is because we are an armed population. We have a lot of armed civilians. I think if you were to take all the hunters in the country and all the hunters in America, everyone that hunts has a gun. Take all the hunters. It's the largest army in the world outside of our actual military. Actually, matter of fact, it might be even bigger than that. It's gigantic. There's a lot of dudes running around. Well, people, women, and dudes in America that can shoot guns very well. So there you have it. The Second Amendment wasn't here to protect firearms for hunting. And that's what the assault weapons ban is. Like, they don't want to take away your hunting guns. They've all said that. But when the quote unquote assault weapons doesn't work, they will come for your hunting guns, and they will make it harder for you to get those guns as well. It's just the way it is. It doesn't stop here. None of them are saying like, this is it. This is the end all be all gun legislation. Once this gets passed, we will all be safe. And even if we aren't as safe as we want to be, we aren't going any further because we want to respect the Second Amendment and respect the people in this country. That's not what's going to happen. They're going to keep going more and more and more. That's all they know. That's all these people know is more and more and more. I want more. Give me more. It's not enough. So we got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. And my line in the sand is drawn right here, right now. Right here, right now. No more. No more. All gun control is anti-constitutional. Non-constitutional. We all know it. It all is. All of it is. It's black and fucking white. Shall not be infringed. So that's my line in the sand. All gun control needs to be ended. No more should be passed. I mean, we've gone this long. As America, we've gone 250 fucking years, and guns have literally been written into the fabric of this country. And now all of a sudden we can't seem to figure it out and make it work. That's bullshit. Society is changing. Yes, we know this. Open borders, not good. Millions and tens of millions of illegals in this country. We have Somalians taking over Minnesota. We have a lot of issues in this country that do need to be changed. And we have a society issue. We have a very big societal issue. We have people are losing faith in not only God, but in the system, in all of these things. The system isn't working for us anymore. We know this to be true because we have eyes and we can see. The last thing on the docket that they need in order to make compliance absolute is to take away your guns. Once they take away the guns, they know they can take away your speech. And we're seeing that unfold in the UK. They're taking away their speech. You post mean things on the internet, you're going to jail. Don't mark my words, it will happen here. We are not preserved in America unless we fight for it. There's a saying once where it's like, you can only keep what you can defend. Anything you can't defend, you don't deserve to keep. If it can be taken from you, then it's going to be taken from you. Just like rights. You don't deserve them if you can't defend them. So if the people of Virginia refuse to defend their rights to gun ownership, then maybe they don't. Maybe that's where it's at. But you can't keep what you can't defend. And right now it's looking like Virginia is not being able to defend their rights to gun ownership. And that is very unfortunate because there's some very good people that live in Virginia. And I hate to see this happen for them. But that's pretty much all I got for you this week, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. As this stuff happens more and more, I'm just going to jump on here and try to do my best to dive as much as I can into the issues and present them in typical Jake fashion, which is rant about how gay it is, So there's that. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Got some big stuff coming up here real soon. Real big stuff. So stick around.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.